Hey guys, what is up? I am back with another tier listing, and today we're gonna veer off a little bit from the Pokemon. We covered all the regions, so now we're gonna shift gears over to another game I love to play, and that is Minecraft. Today we are gonna be giving the tier listing of every enchantment in Minecraft. They are all here aside from Swift Sneak, I believe. And I will give my opinion on that one when at the end of the video. But to start out here, my tier listings, we have necessary, useful, fun, very niche, and why. And I'm going to be rating what I believe each one of these enchantments fall under. So to start it off, we're going to start with Aqua Infinity, and I'm going to go with. See, I want to. It's a mixture because it's not. I mean, it's not that fun of an enchantment, so fun doesn't really describe it. I'm going to say very niche because, well, no, I'm going to say useful because it allows you to mine quicker underwater. So, and at least early game, it's very useful, and because you spend a lot of time like maybe gathering resources underwater when you go to raid a temple. That helps a lot. Very niche. I'm saving for more like things that like really only have one use. So I'm gonna say it's useful. It may not be the top of useful, but it's pretty useful. Bane of Arthropods. This is what I'm gonna put Bane of. Put Bane of Arthropods in very niche, mainly because there's not enough mobs in the game to justify Bane of Arthropods, and not enough strong mobs in the game at that. So like you have spiders, you have silverfish, and maybe endermites. But like silverfish and endermites get killed with sharpness or just a normal sword. So why even have this? I would say for this to be more useful, you're gonna need to put more mobs in the game that this affects, rather than just like 4. Blast protection. I'm gonna put these. I'm gonna put that at useful. Is it more? Is it better than the other protections? How many things can blow you up? I guess you got the wither boss. You got creepers for sure. I feel like it's pretty useful. I feel like creepers sneaking up on you are always something that you got to be wary of. So blast protections is there. I do like that. Curse of binding. This is fun. I'm gonna put it at fun because especially if you're playing with other people. By yourself, it's there's no use for it. But when you're playing with like friends and you put Curse of Binding on like a pumpkin or something, that's when we get fun. What things get fun, or you put like really bad armor on them. It's a good prank. I like Curse of Binding for that reason. Curse of Vanishing, however, why? I don't know why they got this. Like, why would you? I mean, you could prank someone, but like they don't want the armor on it anyway, so why would you put Curse of Vanishing on it? And then about the only thing I can see this being useful for is maybe like adventure maps, and that's it. So really, just it's more than very niche. I'm gonna put it at why. Like, why is this in the game? Make it different somehow. Channeling is very fun. I love channeling, especially when you're in the rain and you can get charge creepers. You turn things to different animals or different mobs, I guess. Really nifty enchantment they added when they added the tridents. I do like channeling a lot. The summoning lightning, making you feel like Zeus, is just fun. Great fun. I have a blast with channeling. Depth Strider is, man. Ooh, I almost want to put. Do I put it in necessary? Do you need Depth Strider? I'm gonna put useful because there's other ways to get around in water. Especially, I'm gonna put it in useful for this main reason because they added the swim mode, and I feel like the swim mode allows you to go around. Because it allows you to swim faster. So I think, I mean, it is very useful. But like, I guess if you were traveling long distance of water, you could just use like boats and stuff. So I'm going to put it at useful. It's not necessary, but it is useful. Now, this one is going to be the first one that goes in necessary. Efficiency, I mean, if you're going to have any enchantment that is going to make the game easier, it's efficiency. Breaking blocks, not wasting time, because the thing that we have like a finite amount of in the world is time, and efficiency helps you not waste it when you're playing the game. So, like, you're not taking forever to do things. So, efficiency is going to be necessary at the top there. Fire aspect's going to useful. I like it. It can do a bunch of different things. You can cook animals with it. Does an extra bit of damage to mobs. So fire aspect is a very useful enchantment. Feather falling is the next one that goes into necessary. You're going to be taking a lot of big drops in the game, and you don't need to worry about whether or not you're going to live it or not. So I'm gonna say feather falling is necessary, especially when you're fighting the Ender Dragon, or if you're like a big builder and you're falling big heights because you build big objects. So feather falling necessary. Now, very useful. This definitely isn't a necessary thing. Very useful early game in my opinion, and gets less useful as the game goes on because you don't need like things that fortune is useful for. You can get them in other ways for the most part. Diamonds are about the only thing that you need. That is like a finite thing that you can use fortune on. My thing is like you can get so many diamonds. It's not hard to get diamonds in the game, and it gets to a point where you don't need diamonds for armor or anything anymore. You have so much that you could just make it. So, and then it's more useful just to get them as building blocks in the future. So, fortune very useful early on. Not so much not as useful late game in my opinion. Flame kind of fire is the same thing. I'm gonna put fortune a little bit higher, but flame I'm gonna put it above blast protection. But flame is this, it's just the fire aspect of bow. Useful for I think it's more useful for fire aspect because the flame doesn't the most likely you're firing at mobs far away, whereas like fire aspect they're close up, so they can't really hit you if you're far away and you're not gonna catch on fire. So I'm gonna say flame is useful, but not that useful. You don't need it. Fire protection is probably the second best form of protection because of the fact that it can save you from dire situations when in the Nether, and I feel like that happens a lot with lava. It could even save you in situations in the overworld if you fall in lava or you get catch on fire somehow. But I think fire protection is the second most useful form of protection. I think Frostwalker has its time and it's fun, but I mean it's not useful in any means. I guess if you're traveling across lane, but then you can't go underwater if you need to go underwater for whatever reason. So it's fun because it turns the water to ice, and that's a neat idea. It'd be cool if you could like run on air with it, maybe a little bit, like freeze the ice or freeze the air. But it's okay. It's fun, and then it gets old after a while, but still fun in its own right. Useful. Impaling. I'm gonna put impaling, sharpness, and smite. Sharpness more in general are all going to be they're more useful than the sharpness being just extra damage to all mobs. That is, I'm gonna put that like at the top of useful. Impaling being underwater sea creatures when there's really only one or two. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm gonna put impaling with Bane and Arthropods. If there's more underwater creatures that actually did damage, I would add that. I would put it up higher, but there's really only like two that you got to deal with underwater, so that's gonna go there. Smite has more usefulness than both of those because you got your skeletons, your wither skeletons, your zombies, your what are the desert ones called? I don't remember. Not race. Whatever. You got a lot more undead mobs than the rest of the mobs. So I'm going to put Smite up higher. Infinity I'm putting it at the top of useful. The only problem that knocks this down from necessary is the fact that if you have Infinity, you can't have Mending, which in my opinion, is stupid. Infinity is just so useful. Don't have to have a bunch of arrows. You can just have one, but I'd rather have Mending than Infinity, in my opinion. Knockback, again, that's a useful enchantment, especially when you're dealing with like creepers. Keeping things away from you at a distance, that is very helpful. Top of useful is going to go looting. I think it, especially for farms that require you to kill the things yourself, looting is just, again, time is something that we have a finite thing of in the world, and looting helps you get more resources faster, and that is always a beneficial thing. Luck of the Sea. So I'm going to put these in very niche. Luck of the Sea and Lure, because it only applies to fishing rods, and fishing is only one aspect of the game. So these enchantments are really useful for fishing. I will give them that. But since it's only for fishing, that I'm going to put it very niche. It's more useful. Almost since they're more useful than the other two, they go up top of very niche. But they're still only used for fishing, and that is kind of a problem for them. That's what hinders it, I should say. Loyalty is very useful for tridents. almost have to have loyalty, otherwise you're going to lose a very rare item in the game. So loyalty needs to be in the useful category in the upper echelon of that. Mending is the most necessary enchantment. Changed the whole game. Allows you to not, have to keep creating new tools. Mending is almost, in my opinion, probably overpowered. Mending should take more experience, but even then, the experience isn't the problem, because there's just farms that can get a whole bunch of experience really quick. So mending is the most necessary, but also the most overpowered enchantment in the game. Multi-shot, it's fun, not necessary. Can be useful, but I'd rather just get the one thing. Waste arrows, but for the crossbow, it's a fun little enchantment to have on the crossbow. Piercing, I believe this is just sharpness for tridents. Maybe I could be wrong with that. I don't use tridents a lot, so I don't know. But I think it's more useful. It's useful than like impaling, so I'm gonna put piercing here. Especially if it is. Now the thing is that tridents are more niche or more rare. But once you get a trident, they're very useful. Power, that's got to go with sharpness. Bows are really useful in the game. They're just about as useful as a sword. So the thing that's going to give bows extra damage, you got to put that into the game. Now, one thing I'm not seeing. Am I missing it? Well, we'll go quick charge. Quick charge is useful, especially because crossbows are so bad. I mean, bows are just better, but crossbows are so bad to charge. So you need quick charge. I'm gonna put it useful because it is necessary for a crossbow to be for crossbows. Otherwise, they're just pointless to use. Respiration, not necessary, but very useful. We're gonna put that behind loyalty. Well, no, it's more of a niche thing because you're underwater. So I'm gonna put it next to Aqua Infinity. But is it more useful than Aqua Infinity? That's debatable. It does allow you to stay underwater longer, and Aqua Infinity allows you to break blocks quicker, so kind of does the same thing. But Respiration allows you to explore more for longer, so I'm going to put that there. Riptide. Riptide is way more fun. It's probably the most fun enchantment. When it starts raining, you can fly around, especially with Elytra. You just fly for so fast. Riptide is probably the most fun enchantment. Sweeping Edge is useful. Sometimes can hinder you depending on what you're trying to kill, like any like if you're trying to not completely wipe out your like cattle or your animal farms, but some the sweeping edge could hurt you, but it is useful for big chunks of mobs and when you're doing farms that require a whole bunch of mobs to be in one place. Now, soul speed, very niche. You kind of have to go out of your way to build soul sand paths or soul paths. I guess it's useful in the nether, but other than that, very niche. I've never really used it, but if you could just throw it on the boots, why not? But you'd have to go out of the way to make the paths and make it very useful. Silk Touch, in my opinion, is more useful than Fortune because in later game you just want access to every type of building block, and Silk Touch allows you to open up a whole bunch more blocks. And you don't really, like I said, you don't really need a lot of other items in the future, but you do need a lot of like blocks because eventually it gets to a point that all you can do is build and make cool worlds. So Silk Touch is more useful than Fortune, in my opinion. Thorns is useful. I mean, it just does a little bit of negligible damage to the thing, keeps you off you a little bit. Does damage your armor a little bit, so it's kind of put at the end, but it's useful. There's no reason to not have it, so I would put it there. And then Unbreaking is going to be... See, back in the day, I would say Unbreaking is necessary. But I'm going to put it at very useful because Mending exists. And in reality, if you have Mending, you shouldn't need Unbreaking. It just allows you to not have to go back and heal your tools as much. So Unbreaking is very useful, but it's not a necessary thing anymore because Mending exists. So that's where I'm ranking all the enchantments. That's right. Swift Sneak. That is going in very niche. Because there's not really any area but the Deep Dark that you need Swift Sneak. And I'm pretty sure. So that's where I'm going to put it. I mean, eventually if there's areas that you need to be quiet more, maybe like if they make it a mention, then that it could go to useful. So And I believe there is something. What is the there's power, and then there's what is the I think it's like knockback for bows that I'm not seeing. I don't think it's on here. That could be put, I'm gonna put that next to knockback useful. Oh, what is it? Is it piercing? It might be piercing. That could be what that was. Huh. But that's why I'm gonna put that in useful. So that is my tier list. If you guys agree or disagree, let me know, and let me know what your favorite enchantment is in the game. Let me know which ones you have the most fun with, and if you want to see more tier lists, make sure you check out the playlist at the end of the video. And until next time, peace.